Thank you for joining us on Quantum Healing today. My name is Melanie, and today we have a fantastic guest. Her name is Tracee Dunblazier. She is a grief counselor in the LA-based area. She's also a spiritual empath, shaman, and a 58-time international award-winning author and publisher. And as a multi-sensitive, Tracee's blend of intuitive information combined with different modalities has provided the opportunity for thousands to achieve deep healing and cultivate the success and peace they seek in their lives. So today, let's meet Tracee. And if you have not met Tracee before, you're just going to learn and learn and learn all of the abundant things of how we can use grief and spiritual tools to get through these difficult times and planetary transformation. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you must be hidden under a rock because there's so many shifts and things going on energetically, inside and outside, and things we can control and things we can't control. And so this is a perfect time to bring Tracee in so we can learn how to use tools that are already existing that she might have presented to us in her books and oracle decks, or even how we can use the tools that we have already within. So Tracee, welcome to Quantum Healing today.
Hello. So good to be here.
Yes, thank you
Very
very much.
exciting.
Yes, and before we jump in, let's start real quick, a quick background of how you got started and to where you are now.
Well, I was born psychic with all the clairs, but I was also demonically challenged, which means I carried many entities into this life expression with me. And so that looked like night terrors, crying all the time. I'm an empath, so I feel and sense and experience other people's energy, but then having my own spiritual trauma. All of the people that I carried with you, I didn't carry just dark entities, if you will, but I carried many soul expressions with me, and they were my teachers, and they made me the multicultural visionary that I am, because energetically, spiritually, empathetically, I can truly put myself in somebody else's shoes, like literally put myself there. So it just gives me a broader vision, and that's how and why I've been attracted to doing healing work, because there are so many people here right now who are so layered up with things that they don't know where to start. And then what's going on in this phase of the planetary transformation right now, it's causing disruption internally, which is why we're seeing such profound disruption externally. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And now let's talk about how we can use tools and through these shifts that we're going through.
So I was thinking, I don't know when this is going to play, but just recently, and for another week-ish, in astrology, there is a particular configuration that's happening right now, which is causing a particular response. And I want to talk about it because it's indicative of what is happening on a global scale. So it is basically Pluto is opposed to Mars in the sky. And Pluto is in Leo and Mars is in Aquarius. I believe that. It could be the other way around. Anyway, but so Aquarius and Leo are opposites. And Pluto is the planet of mystery, of sex, death, and other people's money, of the great unconscious, of the darkness, right? So it governs all of these elements of ourselves that are powerful, but maybe still hidden. And then Mars is the planet of energy and movement and aggression and anger. And so when we put those two, massively masculine, massively feminine energies together in such a powerful way to oppose each other, is what happens. And then what that looks like just on a human level is you're walking around feeling really irritated, often about just about everything, right? So you may not have the grace during this time to be tactful in your honesty. You might be very quick to give your opinion or to say how you really feel, right? Whether or not it's well thought out or otherwise, right? On a positive level, if you suffer from anxiety or depression, it might start to push you out of that and help you to recognize on deeper levels why you're experiencing that. So during this time, people are going to have a lot of personal epiphanies. They're going to provoke and promote situations in their life, like they'll attract them or seek them out, that mirror some of the things within them that have, as of yet, remained hidden. So resistance, the idea of resisting an idea, is what you want to look for. Anytime you look at something, you want to judge somebody else for that thing, it's because you probably do that thing and you just don't really know or aren't aware of the ways in which you do it. So it's a powerful time, but there's a lot of energy to it, which can lead us to conflict as well. So to me, this 2-week confrontation, if you will, between us and ourselves, however that ends up looking, right? It forces us to see things in a way that we have been unwilling to see in the past.
All of that makes complete sense. This shift into this time. And so what can we do in order to use reflection or self-reflection in these times that might come up or present themselves? How can we use that as an opportunity to use that for inner work or shadow work, or however you want to put that?
Well, it forces the inner work / shadow. When we talk about shadow work, we are beginning to pay attention to the subtle idiosyncrasies or thought patterns or behavioral patterns that we have that other people may that may be more obvious to other people than they are to us. And so during this time, like when people think of, doing inner work, we think of that as Zen, and we think of meditation. And yeah, that's not real. This is not a great meditation time. This is not the time to start to learn to do meditation, because it's not going to be easy. And then you're going to get frustrated and move on and think that it's about the meditation. Right now, people have a lot of extra energy. So this is the time to do active listening. Or active, in mindfulness, we call it like active reflection, which is like when you're doing the dishes. Anytime you clean something, you connect your left brain to your right brain, right? You become open and awakened to all of those subtle things that are always going on in your head while you're physically doing something. And if you can choose to start to pay attention to what you're thinking, like if I said to you, hey, what thought did you just have? Did you just,
what?
I'm asking you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've just been listening to you, so I haven't really had a thought other than just listening.
Okay. So usually people, they're thinking something all along while they're doing something else. So you're listening, but you're having a response to what I'm saying.
That makes sense.
And that response is subtle, right? So that's what is shadow work. That is what, because people, it's a natural thing that when you hear something, you're like, yeah, that's true, or no, that's not true, or that's not me, or I've experienced that, or I don't know what that is. What is she talking about? Right. But there's usually some sort of internal nudge or response.
Right.
So
I guess and I guess before you move on, I guess I could use that as a reflection, because when you were talking about things earlier, I'm starting to realize, oh, well, I don't realize how much I don't know about astrology and the alignments and the planets, because my mind and my head is so earth-based and earth-ground and bound that, all of my work is earth-related. And so
Right.
I'm learning more as we go. So that's
Right.
it's good
So
for me.
that's exactly that. Everybody we all do. We have our own inner chit chat with ourselves as we go along. And when you begin to become aware of that, you learn a whole other story about yourself than you knew. And again, during a time like this, with this particular astrological configuration, it forces that process. And usually anger and resistance are the things that let you know there's something going on that you've not been aware of, but you're being faced with it now. Usually like I said, when we are judgmental of other people's behavior, when we are irritated by others, right? It's not necessarily that we have that same trait. It's that there's something about that is valuable to us. And so when you can begin like, what is that? You're doing the dishes and you're like, gosh, I keep repeating to myself how mad I am or how frustrated I am with my relationships, or, when am I going to make money? Right? Like we have these, whatever we're chronically telling ourselves becomes apparent when we are doing mundane activities. And this is a little fun fact. So I don't know if you watch TV, but I'm a chronic binger of different television shows. And there's a new commercial out by Clorox, and it is hilarious because they actually spent some money and did some research, and they basically wanted to determine if people felt happier, like what was the thing that made people feel the happiest. And they discovered that when they clean their kitchen, that makes them happier than going out to a nice dinner, right? Or like there are different activities, but the satisfaction that comes from cleaning something and seeing that finished product and then how you feel in it promotes more happiness than many other activities. And I thought that was hilarious, and I love that they did that because I find that to be true. I find if somebody is suffering from anxiety or depression, if you can just manage yourself over to a corner of your house and clean the floor in one corner, or move everything off of one area of cabinet and clean that. And once you have that clean square, you're going to have to get another one and then another one and then another one. And the next thing you know, your whole kitchen's going to be clean. But when you clear space like that, in that activity is when you see things that you don't normally see because you are caught up in the activity of being and focusing outwardly. So what can you do? You can clean your house, clean your car, clean your feet, clean something. If you don't have something to clean, go to somebody else's house and clean their stuff, right? But cleaning anything gives you a self-satisfaction that is so powerful, yet so easy to have. What happens, and this is what's going to happen after these 2 weeks are, as this opposition clears and moves, it's going to lead us, the next phase after anger is grief. And when I say grief, I specifically mean emotions, emotionalism, crying, sorrow. Depression is the static phase before you get to experience the flow of emotion in sorrow, right? But grief is something that we do when you cry for 10 minutes or more. It actually clears the neurons, the neurocircuitry in your brain. So if you're crying because of a reason, like an event or a tragedy that happened, a trauma, the more you cry about it, the more you are releasing your attachment to it. And that is, in fact, what the healing is, right? ever forget the traumas that happen to us, but what we do is we shift our relationship to them or to the people that caused them, right? So in this case, the idea of forgiveness. Forgiveness is when I say, I let you go, right? I've cried and cried and cried. I've said how I felt. I've told you how much you hurt me. And now I let you go, which means I'm no longer going to give my energy or attention to you and to that. And in that neural circuitry, your brain has that circuit that says, look at that, pay attention to that. Don't ever let that happen again, right? So when you cry it out and it erases that circuitry, you can repopulate your brain. So when you feel the need, like anger oftentimes is a stopgap for big emotion. And we give ourselves permission to feel that big emotion once we feel safe. So when you see people being very angry or angry a lot or consistently, it's because they don't feel safe and they're not in a safe place to be able to feel what they really feel, which is sorrow and grief. So, keep that in your little noggin as you go about
Yeah. Well,
about the world.
and let's quickly identify grief, because grief can come in many ways, whether it's losing someone or losing a job or going through a major life event, some type of healing transition. So let's talk about what grief is.
Okay. So so I have a book. It's called, I'll move this. It's called Transformative Grief, an ancient ritual of healing for modern times. You can find that anywhere books are sold. And there's something I called everyday grief. And everyday grief is grieving the multiple transitions of the losses that we feel every day. And so, like you were saying, there are 1,000 kinds of loss. We can lose people, friends, relationships, illusions, beliefs, ideals, weight, a house, a partner, a pet, right? There are 1,000 things that we can lose. We can lose our mind and behave in a way that then makes us feel bad, shameful, and guilty later, right? All of those are losses that require a transition. And grief is the emotions that allow us to make that transition from one perspective to another. So in this period of time, right now, there are three major cyclical transformations happening. You know how in 2012, that was the end of a big 25,000 year cycle?
Yes.
So along with that, there's the planetary transformation, right? All of these earth changes. All the earth changes that are happening now partially are augmented or fully augmented by how we are treating the planet and how we're interacting with her. But these earth changes would have already come in some way, just probably less intensely. That's one of the things that we know. We can look back in history and say, well, the earth did this then, right? So at the end of this cycle is we're having all these planetary changes. This is my cat Charlotte. You see this tail, like hello. So we have a planetary shift cycle ending. We have a political shift ending or cycle ending. And then we have an interpersonal, which means people are evolving. We as human beings and now have to all level up together, right? When we say there's an end of a cycle, it's that the collective is leveling up. It's not just one person or two people. It's when we hit that critical mass of 51% of the people shift up, then we all shift up. And so we're all preparing to do that. Right. And so when the earth changes, we have to change. When we change, the earth has to change, right? When we talk about healing, the earth doesn't need us to be healed. The earth can just boot us right off, and she can do her business, and none will be the wiser. If we want to stay here, we have to treat ourselves, each other, and the planet with respect and with kindness, right? And so that's what we are
Yeah.
all learning to do, is to level up how we perceive ourselves, our lives, our, everything, every aspect of our life is under construction right now.
Yeah. And so how can we use acceptance, right? So now that we're moving through these things and we're obviously going through personal challenges, collective challenges, not through just our rules and governs, but, on a multi-dimensional level as far as our evolution, again, in correlation with the earth. She's obviously going through her own shifts. She's obviously also irritated, wanting to shake us off as if we were
Right,
fleet, because we are the irritants, right?
right.
And so how do we come together to accept ourselves and one another through this challenging time, and how can we work together?
Well, I think that the first and foremost, each individual has to make that commitment to themselves. Look, there, we were talking about like what's happening right now, especially here in the US. It's less about politics and more about humanism. What kind of people do we want to be? How much are we willing to share our wealth? How do we take care of each other and others, and how do we allow them to take care of us?
Mhm.
Right? And it's all through this illusion or perceived illusion of power, right? So that's the conflict right now, is people are struggling with their own relationship to their own sense of personal power. So every person has to do their own inventory and recognize their own power and then behave accordingly. And when I say that, I don't mean, a lot of people think that being powerful means that you have to take authority over someone else, or you have to be powerful over others. That's not what power is. That's weakness. That's fear. That's grief. That's sadness, right? When you have to diminish somebody else to feel your own strength, that's a phase of the process, but that is not the end result. That's not what you're looking for. That's just that is temporal. It will never last, ever.
Mhm.
So every individual has to find a way to empower themselves by accepting the life they have, recognizing the things they would like to change, and then making those changes.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Exactly.
They're like, I'm getting out of here.
See, they're running away from their problems.
You don't want to do that. Don't do that. Don't be them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another thing that some of us can have confrontation with is judgment or shame,
Mm-hmm.
or that self-reflection of guilt in some way. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that is a huge step, or even sometimes a swamp people to get through, is if they're going through different types of healing, such as trauma. And so how can we utilize, control and power over oneself and self-love and unconditional love to get through these more denser feelings so that we can get to the ultimate goal of self-relief and freedom and change, and to work with others in the same way.
There are many ways each individual, everybody communicates in a particular way. And if we communicate with others in a particular way, that means we're communicating with ourselves in the same way. So as you become aware of how you communicate, like if are you auditory? Are you visceral when you communicate? Do you have big feelings and you're empathetic and telepathic, which means people feel your feelings, but you don't necessarily say them, right? So becoming self-aware is the first element of this transition. And one of the ways that we do that is we become judgmental or aware of what other people are doing that we like or we don't like. And we create illusions, right? We create a story around that. And then that story, the more energy we give it, the bigger it is created and the more truth it becomes. And then that's what we're experiencing right now, is everybody kind of has their own story that they're telling themselves, and all of those stories are colliding. So again, there's a need for flexibility, a need for open-heartedness, right? We can when we communicate, communication, the throat is the bridge between receiving higher information and processing it through the heart. So if you talk too much or you don't talk at all, you're closing your bridge, right? So again, when you talk about, well, what do I need to do? So maybe you need to journal. Maybe you need to journal and read it out loud. But whatever you do, you need to start getting in touch with the deeper levels of yourself and activating it, which means bringing it into the physical realm with your physical body. Now, I am a absolute freak when it comes to crystals. So I have this new deck called Your Crystal Allies. And so I'm looking around to see what fabulous crystals I have. Oh, this is one of my favorites. This little guy. This is called a Faden. And Faden in German means thread. And if you look right here, there's kind of a milky white thread that goes down the center from which all the other crystals grow. That's what this crystal is. And it's a communicating crystal, and it is a matrix crystal. It connects you to everybody on your matrix. So you're sitting wherever you're sitting, and then there's your neighborhood, and then your city, and then your state, and then your country, right? So there's a matrix that all the people that you know and where those lines go from where you are sitting. This crystal helps you to connect, manage, transmit, more deeply understand issues around culture, tradition, society, and group or collective thinking. So you can use crystals or these crystal cards where I'm looking for. Oh, here they are. Okay, so I pulled a few crystal cards for us. One is, this is Caribbean calcite.
That's beautiful. Where's
Isn't that-
that? Where's that sourced from? Do you know?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember. But this one is in book 2, Your Crystal Allies.
Okay.
The second book, it's the red cover book, and it has all that information.
Great.
This is so much fun. This is prenite, and it connects you with authenticity. So there are what you grew up believing, what the generations before you believed, and then there is the information you are born with and what is your truth. And everybody, like, this is a crystal that you can use to begin to connect. Gosh, so for example, when my mother died, she left the planet, and all of a sudden, for the first time in my entire 38 years at the time, she took self-pity with her. I used to really struggle with feeling sorry for myself. Like, why me? Why is this happening? It's just like everything was too much. And I struggled with it because, like, in my heart, that didn't match me. But when she left, she took it. And I was like, oh my God, for the first time I was able to see that was her thing. And it was on her when I was born. So I was helping her carry it. Right. Which is one of the things that we do is we carry the burdens of the people who are around us, of the people that we love, of the people that we don't know, but we have similar ideologies. We carry each other. And that's just a fact. Doesn't matter if you like to or don't want to. That's what we do because we are human. So to recognize what you're carrying from others and to make that distinction from who and what you are to what you are helping others with is powerful. Prenite is a stone that can help you do that. Another, this is everybody knows this. This is pyrite. Right? So pyrite is a great stone if you are feeling overwhelm of any form. It's a great protection stone, but it normally, this you can't tell from this specimen, but it forms in cubes and clusters of cubes. And that cubism is really powerful because cube or squares is a geometrical figure that helps us find consistency and grounding. So when you can feel grounded to your space, to your body, to your spiritual self, then you can begin to look at the deeper levels of, who you have in your life, the things you believe, the things that you believe or you want to believe, but aren't true. Right? Like everybody has their stuff. So pyrite helps you in a powerful but very grounded, easy way. It helps you to begin to discern those things without shame. Right? So you asked, how can we as a collective, working with stones is one way, but you can work with stones for your collective, for the people that, if you work with stones, that connects you to everybody in your environment. So you can do work in that way as well. The last thing that I want to say about that is when we are energetically and emotionally connected to others, what we transition in ourselves gives others the permission and the blueprint to do the same. Right? So a lot of people, like there's a reason why during the pandemic, there was the biggest divorce rate there's ever been. Right now, currently, like today in 2025, more women don't want to have babies or be married or even be in relationship. There's a reason for that, right? Because we are all finding our own sense of autonomy. And it's no longer about what our partner is or is not doing, right? It has to be what we are or are not doing for ourselves first, and by choice, not obligation, for others second.
Right.
Right? And those are some pretty powerful concepts compared to how things have been. Right?
Yeah.
There are still people living who, for them, the 50s, they were in their youth in the 50s, and so the ideals of the 50s is what feels comfortable for them.
Right. So how do we move through, not just identify those programs within ourselves, because sometimes they can be so locked in our structure and blueprint and even
Right.
our ancestral patterns, who knows for how many generations, right?
Right.
So
Yes.
how do we first of all identify these programs and how can we get through them? And if you have tools for those.
Mm-hmm. So, well, again, I mean, I'll say this. Right now, you don't have to do a lot of seeking because it will find you. That's what all of the astrology of the last 2 years, these big, huge, 12,000 years, it hasn't happened in 12,000 years kinds of events have been happening exactly for this reason. this particular, the opposition between Mars and Pluto happened, the last time it happened, the French Revolution happened. So what you are seeking right now is seeking you. Listen to it. It will be easier for you if you listen to it, accept it, give yourself patience in looking at it. Like don't feel shame, because that, you know what, shame is one of the emotions that happens when we see something but we don't like it. And so instead of denying it, we feel ashamed of it. Right? So if you feel ashamed about something, look at that. Look at what it is and decipher whether or not it suits who you are today. Right? Because oftentimes if we have shame about something, it's not that necessarily that thing is even wrong. It's that it's who we are, and we either need to own it, or it's not at all who we are. Maybe who we were, or we used to be connected to it, but it doesn't serve us anymore, and it's time to change it. Right? So crystals, meditation we talked about. I love oracles and reading. So I have a couple of so this is Oracle of the InBetween. It's my latest Oracle deck. And it literally is a deck that's created around the idea of connecting to the parts of our world and ourselves that takes us through transition, where all of our decisions are made. So give me a question. Give me a question, and I'm going to pull a card on it and read for the people.
A read for the collective. Okay, let me see what I can channel and hone in through higher source there. What is a way that we can transmute our negative energy?
Okay, 2 cards. One, the first one is expansion. You know, if you are angry or frustrated, that means your worldview is too small. That means you need to educate yourself. You need more information. You need to look at other people's perspectives as well as your own. Right? Expand your horizon. This is a huge world. There are a lot of people who have never left their city or town. And honestly, they're terrified, but terrified in a way that they can't even recognize, because they don't feel scared. They just are obstinate and a big no. They're noping their way through life, right? Nope, nope, not me. Nope, nope. Right? So if you're a noper, buy a new book. Go to the library. Talk to somebody that you don't know. Pick somebody for whom you have opinions, right? Because oftentimes when we judge somebody or we have an opinion about somebody, it's because we don't really know who they are. Maybe we are misinterpreting something, or maybe we don't understand like their origin story, right? So you are the only one who can be responsible for expanding your worldview, or your personal view, or your cultural view, right? So expand. That's the first thing. Next is be aware of your power. Every single person is powerful. If you don't feel powerful, then you are hiding that power and probably using it passive aggressively. Right? And well, that's not helpful to you or to anybody. So it's the answer here is, if you will continue to expand your horizons, you're going to be able to eventually find the thing that you align with, that helps you to see yourself in a new way, which is the point. The more people see themselves in the light of their greatest idols, right? The more they're able to achieve more, be more compassionate, feel less fear, experience things like bravery and courage, right? So using an oracle deck always, I'm going to pull one more card for the vibe of the day. Because I love to get up in the morning and get my coffee And I'm like, okay, what's today going to bring? What do I want to think about as my day occurs? And oh, interesting. So today is gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is about boundaries. Talk about noping your way through. Nope, nope, nope. Some people need the nope, you know what I mean? But sometimes we need to learn how to say yes, 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 I want to receive. Yes, I want to try something new. But this is referring to recognize that you are the one that sets the boundaries in your life. So if you like how you are respected and treated, wonderful. If you don't like that, you have the power to change it. You are the gatekeeper of what comes in and what comes out.
Right.
So that's our thought for today.
Yes, yes, yes. And and I guess one last question before we learn more about your website and social media. How can we not just remain positive? Because I know, if someone's trying to remain positive, that might mean like a band-aid or temporary solution, but how can we embrace positivity as we're going through these shifts and through identifying the shadow work that we're currently, you know, learning about ourselves and as reflection of others. So how can we embrace positivity,
So
but
I'm
not toxic
yeah,
positivity?
I'm gonna say just scrap the whole word positive.
Yeah, I just
Let's focus on honesty. First and foremost, you must oh my God. You must be honest with yourself, truthful with others, and experience joy. Joy is the thing that we feel despite what is happening in our life. Joyfulness or happiness is a way that we relate to what is going on around us, right? So if let's say you are a protester and you're going to be protesting in the streets or writing, whatever you're going to be doing, do that thing with joy. If, your work isn't going well for you, look for new work with joy. Look for ways to make that experience bearable for you, but being truthful in it. Because here's the thing: we have to be truthful with ourselves first, so that if we need to make a change, we can readjust our expectations and thinking.
adaptability.
Right? Being flexible, being adaptable, embracing the wave of energy and information that comes. Know that one of the things that has always helped me is this affirmation of what I am seeking is seeking me. I think it originally was a Rumi quote in some format. But what I am seeking is seeking me. Right? Know that's an ism. That is the way it is. And if you remind yourself, hey, don't worry, you're going to have whatever you need because what you're seeking is seeking you. It wants you just as much as you want it.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's money, if that's resources, if that's, healing, if that's new friendships or relationships or, whatever that is, whatever you are seeking is seeking you just as much. And that right there, doesn't it make you want to smile? And then you feel joy. Like you may not have a pot to piss in, but when you remember, what I am seeking is seeking me,
Yeah.
it's a relief. And joy is within that relief. So I would say focus on joy. Find a way to find joy in whatever is happening.
Yes. And I'd like to add gratitude, giving gratitude and appreciation
Yes.
for what you have or don't have,
Mm-hmm.
learning to go with the flow of things not always working out for you. I've learned that that is a blessing in disguise,
Yeah.
going with
It's
the
not
flow.
that they're not working out. You're being rerouted to what is going to be the best for you. The quickest distance between A and B is the direction you're going to be put in. And it may not be where you started or where you thought you were going to be.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, puts a lot of trust in yourself, the situation, and the universe for what it's aligning for you, for what you don't see that's coming.
Yes. I just went through the LA fires here. I'm about 2 miles south of the Eaton Canyon fire. And I mean, it was harrowing. I was in the evacuation warning zone, so I was never evacuated, but I didn't sleep for 7 days because I could have been evacuated. You know what I mean? So while I didn't lose any physical thing, I lost a sense of safety, which really hasn't come back yet. But for an entire month after that, now I've written an entire book on grief. I have all of this information, but when you're walking through it, it doesn't matter. And it was for almost a month, I couldn't focus, I couldn't think straight. And it's really interesting to, again, I'm saying all of this because there was this big blank screen and I couldn't see anything. I didn't know the direction. I felt like I was being erased and reborn in a way that I couldn't conceive of. So I just had to surrender to it. So that's what I did. But it wasn't comfortable, right? You know, you are going to be led on a path. You are on a path. You're not ever on the wrong path. But the path that you're on, you may not see what's in front of you, but that doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that you're needing to enter it from a different frame of reference or frame of mind.
Yes, definitely. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And now let's talk about your website, your books, your decks, your publishing company, and how we can find you. And I know that you have much to offer as well as classes and workshops as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're free to talk about anything that you'd like.
So here's all my projects behind me, all of my products. I'm a hybrid publisher, so I can help people publish their other works as well. But I love Oracle decks. I have been a mad woman for all of the different types of divination tools and psychic sciences. It's not kind of been, it has been a lifetime study for me, as well as doing it. I do have a private practice where I do spiritual, shamanic, soul retrieval, shadow work, coaching, mediumship, channeling for other people. So you can call me for a session. My website is traceedunblazier.com. And that's TraceeDunblazier.com. And she'll put it in the comments, I think. And then from there, you can get to every other place. I've got 3 or 4 different podcasts. I say 3 or 4 like I don't remember, but I have I've got 3, and then I have a new one coming in called The Decoders with celebrity psychic medium Karen Reese. So we are going to be doing this new podcast coming up in the fall, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yes, I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun. Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful. And so, is there any other last messages or collective guidance that you might have for anyone listening today?
Let's do some card. Oh, let's pick this one. Hold one moment. Oops. That's funny. I put these books here to make it so it'd be like easy access. Yeah, it's not easy access. And I look like a bumbling in my head going, ooh. Okay, so what we're going to do is something called bibliomancy. And this is with my book, Conquer Your Karmic Relationships, Heal Spiritual Trauma to Open Your Heart and Restore Your Soul. And what we're going to do is we're going to go boop and open it to a page. And this brings us to a paragraph called Soulmate Groups. A soulmate group comes in many shapes and sizes. It is a set of people, large or small, found in your environment at any given interval, whether it be once or continually over time. For those you find shopping with you at the grocery store to those with whom you share a city or state, what creates a soulmate group is a common ground or interest of any sort, and we will have many in a lifetime. And the message today is, if for no other reason, this is why lumping people into a single understanding, belief, or vision will never be accurate. Lumping people into a single understanding, belief, or vision will never be accurate. Just can't ever be true.
Right.
So
Building thoughts at this point. Yeah.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
that's interesting for
That's,
now.
yeah, no, that's actually in alignment. It resonates with what we're going through because there's a lot of separation and blaming. And so I think it's good. It takes a village, right?
It
And
does. And you never know, your villagers could be not next to you.
yes,
Right?
yes, we're perfectly placed. We're strategically placed for a reason, right?
Exactly.
The light workers, the grid workers. So you might feel alone, but we're all
But
we're
you're not.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Tracee, for everything that you've brought to us today and the teachings and lessons and the insight that you have and what you brought with your books and tools. And I know it's definitely going to help someone. And if anyone has questions, you can reach out to Tracee anytime. And so again, TraceeDunblazier.com. I will put that website in the detail and descriptions, and
Mhm.
you can reach out to her anytime.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
So good to spend playtime with Melanie today.
Yes, it's going to be fun. And we also have the Colorado messages with the ant people, sacred
Yes.
coming up. That's going to be Zapata Waterfalls and the Great National Sand Dunes.
Mm-hmm.
So more information is on my website of quantumdisclosureproject.com. And that's going to be July 29th and July 30th. And so we're going to have speakers, presentations, workshops, galactic sound bath, CE5 meditations, meteor shower watch, and amazing conversations. And so
Yeah, it's gonna be
well,
good.
we're going to have a roundtable discussion on that too coming up soon. So we'll
Good.
keep posted.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And stay tuned, everybody, for our next guest coming up. And again, thank you for joining us on Quantum Healing today, where we shine light on natural healing.